And it's a good thing Boyd and I came, otherwise you wouldn't have had a quorum.
So you can see my consent agenda didn't have that. I'm
Oh, okay.
not sure, I mean, if I need to read it all or not, but.
Just so that everybody knows.
Okay.
Yeah. You can have that.
That and that.
And then this is the
We
enrollment.
don't have an
Yeah,
agenda?
I got, I think all of that.
Well, you can have that for just a treat.
Thank you.
We don't have an agenda, Crystal?
I think so. We'll work our way through it as we get on there if I can't. Sorry for being a couple minutes late there. Everybody got your mics on. We can go ahead and start the working session. And we might as well go right off the agenda on the working session, which Citizens Forum, we don't have anybody in here that I don't recognize. Okay. Board committees, policy committee, do you have a discussion?
Yeah, we've just been going over the personnel employee handbook still. So that was the bulk of the session.
Okay.
And I guess, I don't know, maybe 1-2 more meetings, and we would be done with it. So
I think so.
it's getting close.
You say that with an apologetic tone. Is that something that we knew that was going to take a long time. That's something that hasn't been rehashed in quite a while, or at least. All right, well, I'll leave it at that. Thank you. School Forest Committee being part of that. I know we were canceled this month. Anything you want to bring up as long as we're here?
No, just that we do have the meeting. We will have the meeting for sure in December. We're going to start discussing our activities for a ski trip and stuff, and some educational stuff and stuff. So we'll have a full agenda for December.
Okay, good. Yeah, we got the candlelight ski coming up. We've got trail grooming. You guys are always pretty good about figuring out a pattern for that.
Yep. And we should have our finances meet with Crystal and have that all taken care of by then.
That'll be a good goal.
Good goal.
Passing the buck. I like it. It's a school board meeting. It was good.
Is the audit done now? Is that? Pretty close. Okay, well, that's kind of, we've been trying to hold back. You don't have to hold back.
You jumped to number C on me. Don't do that.
Oh, sorry.
We got update on that. It's there. We're coming around to it. Finance Committee.
Sorry.
I'm assuming that's what was just
Yep,
in vogue in there?
Yep, we just met, went over some of the audit things that are coming up, and went through the current expenses, talked about the bus leases, and that's about it. About it looks like it's going to be good, so.
We got that going for us, which is nice.
Yes.
It's just that, there it is again. You know, now we're passing on to the next subject. We got that going for us, and now I'm wondering what the bad news is. Can we approach this with a little bit of excitement? Oh, all right. Let's move on to Superintendent Nelson with enrollment update, et cetera.
Okay, elementary is up 2, high school's down 2, so we're still at 480. Elementary numbers are 265, high school's at 215. I would just point out the PA, that's our school readiness and voluntary pre-K numbers, and you'll notice if you go back a few years, those kids weren't counted. So that's a change. So that plus 20, I would say 15 of those kids are generating some state formula money. The 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds do not. So we are up a little bit, but just have to, that's a change in numbers, so we don't want to overly celebrate because those kids are counted as half, but it does bring in some increased revenue. But I think for right now, our numbers are steady and hanging in there. Elementary perfect attendance, I didn't get a chance to read the paper yet, but either last week or this week it'll be coming out. For the elementary, we're recognizing 47 students, kindergarten through 6th grade that have perfect attendance for quarter 1, and we're going to do that each quarter. And then at the end of the year, we have, for those who have perfect attendance for the whole year, we do a drawing for a bike and some other things. So each quarter we're encouraging kids, because they start fresh each quarter, as far as earning recognition for perfect attendance. So we're trying to push that with kids a little bit more. Update on the student profile information over parent-teacher conferences. We handed out a form and a little cover letter asking parents to look over their student's profile that we have in our school system and make any corrections, make sure that they have a physical address. If their phone number's changed or emergency contact people have changed, to kind of update all that information. So, and those that weren't handed out at parent-teacher conferences will be mailed with report cards. And I will add that I also did a transportation letter on some communication things that we're changing or improving with our transportation department, as well as reminders for bus stop and bus behaviors. So that was also something that was handed out. And finally, we had why treaties matter, and I do have the flyer that was sent out, or part of that. I think someone came and took pictures. Cece? So we'll have some pictures that will go in the pictures that will be in the Ed Plus and maybe the newspaper. It's quite a nice display. I think just about every class or grade level made it through. So it was a good program, and that's part of our American Indian Education program, and that brought that here. So that's all I have, unless you have any other questions, anything on the agenda for approval that we want to address now during the working session, or?
I have a question on the enrollment.
Okay.
Once again, back to that PA line. That's something the state allows us just based on this year for the first time?
That's new legislation, and I'd have to go back and find out exactly when that passed. I believe it's the 3rd or 4th year. We didn't get it the first year, and then after the fact, the 2nd year we qualified. And I can't remember why there was extra money.
Yeah, there were some schools that didn't utilize it,
Okay.
so basically went back to the state, so then they allowed you to reapply again.
And I'm not sure how they prioritize or list districts.
So it's money we could lose at any time then?
We have
once
for
we get it,
next
we get
year. Once you get
Once
it,
you get in, you're more likely to keep it.
Okay.
as long as the legislature keeps allocating
Right.
money to it. So it's kind of like QComp. That's kind of a similar program. Once you get in, as long as they keep allocating money. Right now, there's a waiting list to get on QComp and get that funding. So it's one of those things that as long as they keep the money flowing, once you're in, you keep it. But our baseline is set at 23 students. So we get 44-year-olds. We only get the funding for our district stops at 23 pupils.
So the number is not necessarily reflective of what we would expect to see in kindergarten, for instance, in a year.
No, because there's some 3-year-olds and different, where they break down as far as birthdays and stuff like that. Plus this does not include any of our students that are in the Head Start program, aren't counted here. So, and these are head counts, and again, they're 0.6 is what they're calculated as far as the formula allowance.
Okay. So the notion of jubilism at seeing it jump 20 people, for instance, you just gotta,
Multiply it by 0.6, and that would
Right.
give you more of a head count for the number of kids generating funding.
okay? Further questions? Any other questions? Okay, on to the spoil alert update on the audit.
Of the audit, as we know, it was originally on the agenda for today for them to present. Like I had mentioned before, it's taking a little longer this first initial year because it has to go through 3 review processes within their auditing firm. And I just got the draft report 5 minutes before the finance meeting today, so we haven't even looked through it or anything yet, and there's a few more things that Luke had asked me with the email. They are planning on for sure being here in December to present, and we will still have our numbers reported to the state by November 30th. So other than that, if you have any, I don't know if anybody has questions as far as the auditing going. That's all I have on that. And then just for the budget report, I have included the report now that we're using through SMS. If you have any questions on that after you look at it, there's nothing out of the ordinary as of right now. So if you just want to take a look and let me know your questions.
The board doesn't have to approve anything for submission before November 30th on the audit?
Not as far as I know for that part. I think it's just the final, like the actual final report, which is due December 31st.
Okay. Yep.
But now you make me want to double check. As far as I know, not for that part to the state, but not just the actual numbers to UFARs. My understanding is just the final
Just final
actual
submission.
written report.
We'll double
But
check.
now I'll double check. That's all I have.
Do we want to talk about the deficit and the bus leases, or just say that for?
I mean, it's not anything for sure, but I guess I mean that's the draft. It's pretty much-
Preliminary numbers anticipate.
As of right now, we're looking around $180,000 deficit for FY18. We are anticipating 260. But our capital has went up to 383. So to keep the fund balance a little bit higher, we brought up the fact of maybe moving the bus leases to capital. Then we'd be looking at around 60,000 decreasing our fund balance. And then the finance, we kind of discussed that was probably a good idea to go that route.
So I'm going to recommend that we move forward for fiscal year 18. We'll do a journal entry for $120,000.
Estimate.
These are just rough numbers, but the theory is we're below our 25%. Prior to that, we had done intentional deficit spending, and we used general fund money to build up to pay for bus leases and those types of things, and try to build up our capital outlay. But for various reasons, we're now at below that 25% threshold. We're at about 21% roughly. So I would suggest that we go back to using capital outlay for the lease payments so that we stay in that 20 to 25 range with our general fund balance. So that's the reasoning for that. So we've spent down that extra that was above the 25% or below the 25%, so now we need to kind of keep it around that 20 to 25. Our goal should be now to get back up to 25% and kind of maintain it.
And
Not
that's for the
necessarily-
year that ends 6/30/18.
630,
That's for 2018. And then right now, our budget right now is balanced.
Yep. So going forward, we'll just maintain.
But we wouldn't take this current year that we're in, we wouldn't take those bus leases out of capital, right? We
No.
would continue to take those out of operations.
For the current year, I thought we'd go
Well, for FY.
Where do we have it budgeted?
For
Current year is
FY
budgeted
19, we have 5 bus leases budgeted
in the,
in the general fund.
Uh-huh. But, you know,
but we have,
We may take one out of capital, but as
Right.
of right now, they're budgeted there
Yeah.
with a balanced budget, so.
Yeah. But I just wanted
Yep.
to make it clear to the rest of the board,
Yes.
really.
yeah, I'm just thinking right now for fiscal 18.
Right,
We
yes.
don't want to deficit spend
Yeah.
more.
Right.
I think we
Yeah.
have the resources to shift money around to stay in the black, or as close as we can.
How's that meeting tonight? Just go with whatever they say.
Yeah, I mean, it is like a deck of cards.
I guess to me, what it, you know, when you say that, it isn't, you know, it kind of sounds like, well, we'll do it, you know, we'll continue to do that. I wanted to make sure that you,
No, we're
that
this
the intent was
fiscal
not
year,
to continue to take all of those bus leases out of
no,
the,
we've
Out of the
budgeted
capital.
fiscal year
yeah,
19
Yeah.
for 100,000 for bus leases.
right.
There's an additional $20,000 lease that will come out of this,
Capital, yeah.
this year's capital. Keep us balanced, right?
Yes,
Did I say that right?
yeah, yeah.
Does that include the new bus that we just
That-
ordered? That is the new bus
That
that we
is
ordered?
the new bus coming out of capital.
Okay,
And that keeps the fund balance at somewhere around 21, 22%, or it promotes it up to what, 25 again?
no, we won't go up, we're still going to roughly deficit spend 60,000.
Yep. So we'll still be around like 21. If we went with the full 180 though, we're gonna be
18,
going,
19.
yeah, we're gonna be going under 20 most likely. So,
So we still want to be able to gain some on
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And we're still, even at 20%, we're okay. I mean, we're doing better. I mean, we have more of a fund balance in some districts, but I think it's in our policy to be at 25, and that should be our goal.
I
to kind of
remember
stay there.
Dilworth, Clinton, and Felton at one of those meetings, board meetings, saying, I remember the superintendent there saying, no, they were publicly prompted to just keep it between 10 and 12%. So I don't think we're on the low side. At the same time, you hate to get sort of fat and happy about it.
Yeah, well, we had built it up quite a bit.
We're up at 32 or 33%.
Yeah, you know, and that's a little too much.
then
But
it looked like
we've
they could
all
take it.
learned how quickly you can go from 32 to 21. It doesn't, I mean, you drop some kids and you have this come up or that come up, or you make
Few
an
extra
error here or
retirements.
there, and then it's,
How quickly did that, I mean, how many years was that? Did it take for that reduction, do you know?
3?
Ballpark?
I was gonna say 4.
I was gonna say about 4,
Okay.
between,
3 and 4.
yeah.
It's more of a momentum than anything, because once you start doing it, then I think it's hard to corral a budget back into it, because you get used to, we're spending this money, how do we not spend it anymore? And then, like you said, all of a sudden you lose, 10 kids or something.
Right, but a lot of it was intentional spending.
Right.
You know, there was just a couple unforeseen retirement type issues that dropped it further than anticipated. But it was intentionally
Yeah,
spent
just-
down,
Curious how quickly you can make it happen.
To build that capital.
yeah.
And then you get into that funkiness of like, lights, an appropriate moment comes up to spend more money.
Yep.
And then you say, okay, we want to be able to spend it, so you want that gray area a little bit
Yeah.
to bounce around in.
But I think it was 6 years ago, it was about at 32%.
Oh.
And then it's been since then that it's,
and you can look at our enrollment.
and 14 years ago, we were at about 2%, so. Just saying.
So it's nice to have that 25%.
Yeah.
Not that you have to keep it at 25, you might dip down a little bit, but I don't think you want to go under 20%.
Are there, and I always come back to it because it's the only one I know, but any windfalls that occur, for instance, the logging stuff that always gets, that might mitigate some of what's going on there right now, is that still out there waiting to happen? Or have we already budgeted that in?
What do we normally budget? 160, 180 for Concom?
125.
Hmm.
It's an average over the last few years.
And that is budgeted in.
Yep.
So the hope is, who knows, but the hope is that bumps up a little bit, so you can dent a little, anything else.
Or it
that
could come
occurs.
in $60,000 less. That's why having that little buffer with fund balances.
But there's no other windfalls out there that occur like that? I mean, you would need more kids to move into the district to increase revenue.
Or the
Yeah.
legislation could change.
Legislation.
I mean, we've had last minute legislation windfalls too.
Yeah.
You know, I know there was one year, totally unexpected, we got an extra $250 per kid, like at midnight, the night of closing. I mean, they do weird stuff.
Well, Walsh is screaming education, isn't he? And that all comes in April normally anyway, doesn't it, or March? Those,
The end of the
Decisions.
session usually.
yeah. All right, keep your fingers crossed. Thank you, Crystal. High school principal Novak. How you doing?
Hey, doing well.
Here, tell you what, I'm gonna do you a favor. Give me that microphone.
It's,
He's always good about coming down. I'm gonna bring it up to him. This way we can do that, right?
Thank you. Really All right, first of all, I just want to say a special thank you to everybody that participated in the Veterans Day ceremony that we had at our school on Monday, November 12th. We actually have a Veterans Day planning committee with Don Kraus, Mike Nordine, myself, Liz Taney, and Kathy Nordine. And we go through it, and each year our presentation changes because we want to make sure we add different things and we make it better. Also want to thank the Northern Light for doing such a nice job with the pictures in the newspaper. So had a lot of different people, veterans that said they really, really appreciate what we do for them. I'm also a part of what's called the Communities Thrive Planning Grant. We will have our first meeting tomorrow. It's based upon the Headwaters Regional Development Commission. And in the past, they've offered grants, and they normally do a mile wide and an inch thick. They try to cover a whole variety of areas. Now what they're going to do is they're going to change their grant focus and actually base it upon an individual town instead of a whole different area. And now they're going to go an inch wide and a mile deep. So what they really want to do is focus on some of the questions are for the areas. What is the objective as it relates to the brain gain and a better quality of life for the Lake Woods area? What is blocking us from moving toward our vision? What innovative, creative, substantial actions can we take to achieve our objectives? And how can different resources assist our work and help our area? I've mentioned this grant to Mr. Nelson, and I'm going to be kind of gathering the information and see how the school plays a part in this planning grant. So there's a variety of resort people, city people that are a part of this committee planning. And the first meeting is going to be tomorrow at 10:30 at the Vet City Hall. Other than that, that's all I have right now.
Is that at City Hall, is that something that you will attend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And are you looking for other attendance or support, or just?
As far as the first overall meeting, just bringing back the material to Superintendent Nelson, and what they're looking at is how the school can play a role. One of the things that I've talked to a fellow by the name of Ryan Zemick about is, we used to have the ABE, Adult Basic Education courses. We used to have the GED sessions here within our school, and we no longer offer those courses. Whereas if we had some funding, we would be able to maybe move into a different direction, offer community people a chance to come back to school, maybe utilize some of our resources that we have here at school, maybe some adult ed at night, working with some different colleges, just a variety of different things that we can take a look at. But tomorrow is kind of just kind of start getting out the darts and start throwing it up on the dartboard and kind of starting to take a look at objectives and how we can work together. But the school is just going to be one portion of that grant.
So if you did the adult basic ed, would we be able to get some of the consortium money back from the Badger Consortium? Or do they not get money anymore?
I don't know what there is available. I know all our resources are through Northwest Service Co-op, and I think our closest person is over in Warroad.
Questions? Beyond? Okay, thank you. No Chad Hazelton?
No, he has late practice tonight. Coaches, new hires are listed. Not much of a winter sports update. It's practice right now, and I think next week they start playing some games. I believe he's still looking to fill a girls junior high basketball coach.
I think he's got it. Rachel's in junior high. Oh, yeah, no, she's on JV, sorry.
I think
Never
we're
mind.
still,
You got Gary Moeller in there on the,
yeah, I think there's
Consistency.
enough kids for one more for that junior high program. So right now, I'm not sure how many the kids are, how many it is, but I know he was.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of
Well,
them,
there's,
more than one
yeah, there's 2
coach.
junior high. Oh, no, that's boys. Never mind.
That's boys.
Can't read.
It might have been maybe JV.
JV, I think
Yeah,
just was the one.
They got JV, yeah. So I think that's the only gap right now with winter coaching.
well, good, nice problem to have, lots of kids out.
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess we'll move on. Reed McFarland with some lighting information. Buildings
Okay.
and grounds.
Okay, we talked about the lighting, the rebates and stuff, the increase in the tariff, so lighting and stuff that's planning on going up. The rebates get cut by 50% January 1st for True North Star. And the new tariffs that went into effect in October were 10%, and the tariffs go up to 25% on Chinese-based stuff as of January 1st if we're to wait after that. So basically what I'd like to do is, we have 51 heads out there in the parking lot that I would like to convert to LED. Right now, if we were to buy the heads, it would cost us $22,950. If we were to wait until January 1st, it would be up to $28,600. So there's quite a difference between those two, and just based on the tariffs from China. And there's a letter in there, I think in your packet to support that. Also, if we were to buy the heads now this year, we are eligible for a $4,080 rebate from North Star if we wait until after the first year. First of the year, it would be cut in half if we wait till next year. It's totally eliminated. That would be 2020. So it would be my recommendation that we would move forward with the project. The cost of the school district right now would be $18,870 if we purchase them this year. If we wait, it goes up to $28,687. There's a $10,000 difference by moving ahead now versus waiting. And like I said at the last meeting, we were planning on sneaking them in kind of as they failed, but with this kind of incentive and with the new tariffs and stuff, it just doesn't make sense to hold off when you're looking at a $10,000 savings by purchasing them before this year. I have talked to Wayne, and this is also $4,000. They're good for that on the rebate. So we'd end up with a rebate through North Star for about $31,000 between the project for the fluorescent lights inside and the exterior parking lot lighting. So it would be my recommendation that we move forward with it.
Do they have any non-Chinese sources?
They've been Walmart.
Well, yeah, don't shop at Walmart, but so, I mean, are there Japanese or the South Korean usually with a lot of the electronics, you want to try and avoid China because you tend to get what you pay for.
We, actually, the light fixtures that we picked out are manufactured by Eden.
Uh-huh.
Or they're not manufactured by Eaton. I take that back, they're manufactured for Eaton. We've got 3 different LED lights out there in the parking lot right now, and we tried from different vendors and stuff. We're trying to find the right light to cover the biggest area for our parking area. And that's how we kind of came up with this particular light for that parking lot. That lighting on that is, though the price has gone up, they're willing to honor that until the first of the year, $450 a light ahead.
So we're just replacing existing heads, we're not adding any additional lighting anywhere out there?
Replacing all of just existing heads.
Who does that work?
We're going to try to do as much as we can in-house. If we're not getting it done quick enough and the weather doesn't cooperate, we're probably gonna have to hire somebody with a boom truck. Takes about 20 minutes a head to replace. They're very easy to replace. It's a project that we can do with a master electrician on. If it's not getting done, we need to get it done. We'll have to hire somebody with a truck to come in and do it.
So this will come, the 22,950 will come out of capital outlay.
It would be 18, yes. And then,
The 40/80 rebate will be
right,
on the bill.
yep. That's correct.
Questions? We approved the indoor lighting last time, and I think that the only hesitation was whether we wanted to keep spending money to save money, but everybody seems to be on that page, right? Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's all I have for, the arena project out there is going real good. I got the floor report on Wednesday. It's got to sit for 2 weeks before they can take the plastic off it. It's got to be a wet finish and cure. So it'll sit on there for 2 weeks. It's covered up with plastic, and then it'll be ready for light traffic. And then I think in 3 weeks they can start running heavy equipment on it and stuff. It's coming along real good. I don't know when the last time you guys walked over there, but most of the sheetrock and stuff has been sanded, filled.
Ready to start painting upstairs, I heard.
Yeah, ready to start painting. It's coming along real nice. So
All the work now is indoor work. I mean, I don't see anything going on outside anymore.
there's nothing they can do outside anymore. The ground got hard on them.
Yeah, in a hurry.
I
So
suppose that parking lot by the school of forest is ripped up still.
it's pretty rough. I talked to them about that out there. They have pretty much cleared everything out of there now. I told them that come February, if they plan on opening up the arena in there, it's gonna have to be
Smoothed out.
smoothed out a little bit and plowed out so we can run equipment or run vehicles and stuff in there for parking, additional parking. And he said they were gonna do what they could, but it's hard right now. Good thing about Minnesota is all the potholes kind of fill up with snow and water. And get packed in, so it's pretty smooth until she starts thawing in the spring. And I think that's what's gonna happen out there because it's pretty rough out there right now.
Are they going to fix that damage?
When they leave, it's going to be,
Part of the project.
yes.
Yeah.
And they have quite a bit of dirt work to do here. On the north side of the school, they ended up having to put the sewer line in twice. So that's pretty ripped up out there right now. That was all on a contractor's back that never quite followed the plans. So it never came out of the arena's funding. And they got, there's pavement that needs to be replaced back on the road where they cut through. There's pavement in the back parking lot. There's we wanted one outlet restored in the back parking lot. You're not gonna pull the cord out of the ground now, she's froze solid, so there's gonna be some work that they're gonna have to do in the spring outside, so. But they did get all the outside sidewalks done, so it will be ready to go, you know, for any events or anything like that, so.
So you're suggesting that they're right on schedule time-wise stuff?
They are,
I mean, they were talking mid-February.
they're right on schedule.
That's kind of nice. And they're continuing to, you go in there daily, or do you go get an update once a
I
week?
pretty much go in there daily and talk to Matt, find out what's going on, what we can do to help them out, and make sure that their vehicles and cement trucks or whatever it be are staying away or giving us clear so for the safety of our kids here. And so I usually talk to Matt at least every other day, job supervisor.
Good. It sounds like you don't have a lot of complaints about it. I mean, it just seems like it's going, keep your fingers crossed, but smoothly so far.
They've been doing a good job. They've been real good at communicating what they're getting done at what time. So I think last week they were talking, you know, about all the trucks, and they've gone over and above to make sure safety is met for the students here. So it's good.
Questions?
New bus will be February?
The new bus should get here probably the 1st of February. They're expected to come offline January 15th.
That's the gasoline one?
Yes. So it'll be really interesting to see how that
A bit of time to
operates.
test it yet.
Uh,
Have some time to test it in the cold weather.
Right. Right, and see if it'll heat properly and stuff like that. So one of the big problems with the diesels is we run them on a short route and they never get warm enough. You know, they're made to run cold, diesels, so. And we got rid of 5 computers by going gas. One of the big problems with diesels.
So you got it clearly marked so we don't stick diesel in it by
Yeah.
accident? I probably shouldn't have brought that up.
No,
But it just
we
came
laughed,
into my
but
head.
No, yeah,
That's a
thought about
valid
that.
concern.
We did have, you know, well, we get off sidetracked here. I
Yeah.
guess that kind of things can happen.
Yeah, they do have, most of them have restrictors because the gasoline nozzle is smaller than most of the diesels, but don't know if this has it. So, something to,
That's typically the way they do it on a gas. They'll make it small so you can't put diesel in it.
Yep.
Problem is, they don't always do that on a diesel because it's bigger, so you can't put gas in a diesel. And if you pull into a BP pump, they have green handles on there, just like the diesel is everywhere else.
Oh, they say color, that's what they got going on the docks now, so. Colorblind doesn't work. All right, any other questions? Cece, you ready? I'm gonna bring you a microphone.
Oh,
All right.
He just wants his exercise.
thank you. Brent was unable to come tonight, so the report that you all have is actually from our Community Education Advisory Council and Wellness Committee. It's the report that we gave on November 19th to the committee members. Brent will probably give you a more detailed report in December, but these are just kind of what we were given in November. The ECFE school readiness report is in here, and from Nicole Gates, and the pool report is here from Lisa. I can answer any questions on those, so if you have any, I'll have to. Some of the programs that Brent has had this winter are the fitness classes with Emily Durkin have been phenomenal, and they're continuing. We also have a talent fitness class. Piano lessons are doing very well too. I don't have numbers on that either. Weight room membership is up. He said he's got, there's quite a few from ANI and also from the Lineman School. The walking track, we have several, the numbers are about the same every month.
chess club and cribbage club. They have 14 kids each in that, and I guess the kids are really, it's a very good program. We've got community volunteers that come in also and help with both the chess club and cribbage. And basketball, I guess, has started or will start this weekend, I think, is what I understood. But the holiday craft and vendor extravaganza was a huge success this year. And I might have to give some credit to the arena because they did some pre-advertising for us. They talked about their open house on the radio and turned out the way to work. So they said their open house was going to be during our extravaganza. The parking lot was packed.
And then some.
And then some. It was
Overflow parking.
Yeah.
yeah, it was awesome. We had, one of the things that we keep our vendor booth fees low because it really is a community event, and we make them give us a door prize because that's how we count all our registrations that come in, because we have to give that number on our annual report. And we had 889 slips of paper, so that it's, we usually have around 750 around there, so it was really huge. A lot of people stuck around too. The commons was absolutely packed. You couldn't hardly find the table. Usually there's, probably 5, 6 empty tables too, but it was full. But they seemed like they were sticking around and kind of enjoying themselves. A lot of our community, we had Woody entertained with his sister Jenny, and Arlene Pierce did some musical numbers for us, just for Kicks performance. And we had Women of Today with the Turkey Bingo. We had Kids Craft with the Girl Scouts. The robotics team did the check-in. And I actually got a call from Santa on the Monday after. He called and said, "This is Santa." He said, "I want to tell you, you have a wonderful group of children here." And he said, "You were very well behaved, and he's coming back next year." We also had a young lady, Talia Fram. She's a high school junior, and she painted a beautiful mural, and we had lots of compliments on that.
It was very pretty.
She did an excellent job. Yeah. So, and Lakewood again donated shopping bags. I'm trying to think. We had a lot of the churches were well represented. The county was here, and the city was here. So. The chamber was here, so it was, well, a very good community. But I think it would be interesting to know how many people went to the open house out at the arena. Do you know if there was, because I think there was quite a few people there too. Because a lot of them were talking when I was walking around too about it.
On the pool sheet, I just have one question for you. I assume OS is open swim. What's AS?
Adult swim.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, well, thank you. That sort of brings us to the end of the working session with about 15 minutes left in it. Do we want to push on with something else before we get to the regular board meeting? Do you want to have any discussion topics?
Well, anything on the regular agenda that you want to discuss, or questions, or?
Can I ask my questions about the MSEA contract? Since we're looking for an approval of that?
Yeah.
Who am I directing those at? Well,
I have a question on it too.
okay. Well, why don't you throw, you want me to throw mine out first? Mine are probably more generic than yours, so I'll throw them out there. What's the dollar split differential? You were highlighting changes, and I just didn't understand what that was.
Split differential?
I don't know if I did a final thing. So if we'll get into it.
What, What's
the
split shift?
Split
What's
differential.
What's a split?
Oh, that,
That's a shift split difference.
yeah, so for like a bus driver, if you work in the morning and then you work in the evening, you get an extra $1. Or we increased it an extra $1. Or if you work as a food service and then you come back and work in the Bears Den that night, you get extra. Now it's an extra $1. It's $3.25 that it went up to.
You get differential pay for each hour you work.
Yes.
And is that something that's always existed, it's just you change the
Increased
amount?
it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Up to $1, so it went from $2.25 to $3.25.
okay. So it wasn't a new philosophical approach to how to
No,
pay
no.
people, it was just a money difference?
Yeah.
All right. And the logic of it, is somebody give me a history or no?
If you're
Because
driving.
it's
to-
inconvenient.
It's very inconvenient, and if you're driving to work, to and from work twice
Twice in a day.
versus once, your costs for getting back and forth to work. You know, you're paying twice what anybody else is if they come in and work straight 4 hours like a driver. You know, you come in here and work 2 hours, and then you go home and come back and work 2 more hours. You know, you spend up, it's a lot of time you're spending on the road, and I know when I used to live in Roosevelt, you know, 95, I was driving back and forth to Roosevelt twice a day. No, that-
Or
I
like for
spent-
the cooks, it's very common, like even at A&I, we pay a greater amount for evening work than we do for daytime work, or the port. I mean, anybody who works nights makes more than a daytime staff
Because of the
member.
inconvenience or because the added cost of working nights?
Just the inconvenience
Yeah.
is part of it.
Yeah.
But it's not a normal, it's not a normal work day.
Okay,
The hospital pays a differential,
Yeah.
shift differential as well.
Yep, A&I does too.
all right, well,
Pretty common.
Yep.
life's passing me by.
Yeah, you might have to start requesting that.
Getting called.
To my house is if they come up on a weekend, it should be more like a motel, they charge more on the weekend.
Well, you should have clued me into this 20 years ago, when every time you go out there at 10 o'clock at night to relight the pilot stove, if somebody's had too many beers that they're not supposed to be touching, I can see $2 more. All right, and then noticed very obviously that we're in a one-year negotiation. We're hoping to get everything obviously onto a similar time frame now, so that there's not this offset, right, between this union, this union, this union, everything staggered. Now, seems logical, seems good for your cause, right, in terms of budgeting, in terms of the finances. Puts huge stress on you, doesn't it?
That's his idea.
I mean, you're gonna negotiate 3 contracts in the same calendar
I
month,
feel like
months.
I've been negotiating all the time anyways.
Sharon warned them.
I did.
Did you say the same thing?
Yep.
Yeah, because it was switched to alternate years, because 20 years ago, it was all done on the same year, like he's proposing to go back to now. And then 1 year, we settled the MSEA for 3 years so that they could be off-cycle, so that the superintendent wasn't double taxed at the same time. But,
My rationale is we worked hard to kind of get everyone kind of in the same ballpark with certain district-wide benefits like health insurance and stuff like that. So, and I've talked to some of the reps. So some of those things you can negotiate with all the groups simultaneously, as far as some of those benefits that are consistent. So I'm hoping it'll streamline it, but then when you start getting into the nitty-gritty, it could,
Well,
might have someone finish up real early and not, but we'll see how it goes.
All right, well,
Good idea, I don't know.
I appreciate the effort, because I do think in the long run, it makes things smoother. We're always having that discussion about which year is which for different reasons, but. All right, and then my last question, I had some discussions with you earlier on how finally panned out with your discussion with the union, but that was answered. Oh, the insurance I just thought it seemed very duplicate. I'm just looking at it like you can reduce some language on it, but you had on page 10. At least that's page 10 of my, it is page 10 of the document as well. Okay.
Well, mine are all page 48.
Right. But you,
Is it?
Anyway,
What page is it 48.
But it's not on there. It's not in the board packet electronically, that,
No,
is it?
not the
No, it's all
second one.
proper in the
is
board
in
packet.
there.
Yeah, electronically.
What pages is on the
Well, I didn't know what Cindy
Ten.
He just
said, I
got the-
reprinted it because it's weird if you print it
10.
off of there for some
Because it's a
reason.
Word document and we're using
Right?
it in the drive, maybe.
Well,
But
why
to-
does it change the,
10 of
Why would it
44
change
is
the-
what it is in the
Google Docs
second.
is just a
Not
really
in
bad
that, not in that one.
Yeah.
Look at the second one.
but this part isn't
You can
typed
look
to
here.
share.
That's where.
That's where it ends.
Well, I'd like to point out that a mere 3 minutes ago, you, quote, said, "We worked hard to get everybody in the district on the same page." And literally,
On the same page. They're all on page 48.
This one's not like it if you want those actual paper ones over here.
So I'm looking at the, where it has
Anyway.
single health insurance.
yeah, and I just was looking at it, it says like there's a line that's thrown in there, if two spouses work in the Lake of the Woods system, they may select either two single plans or one family plan, and then it delineates the numbers below that. And then you go on to subdivision 4, a husband and wife who are both school district employees may be allowed to combine the school district contributions towards cafeteria plan health insurance policies. Seems to be the exact same language, correct?
No. that-
Or are you
that
defining the
is-
relationship?
No.
between-
That should not be.
That was eliminated. They no longer can combine.
Okay,
Subdivision 4 is gone, right?
not in my contract, that's what I'm
I
saying.
know, but it should have been.
Okay. All right, so that was sort of the redundancy.
See, yeah, and that's why the new language was that if two spouses work, one family with two singles, not combining, so.
Doesn't see Department of Redundancy.
Well, they say two different things, they're
Yeah.
contradictory.
Uh-huh.
One is saying we combine both of ours into a family plan, so they get,
Right.
as this other one says, no. So they contradict each other.
But the money works out virtually the same.
No, because the second, the one we're eliminating says they can combine their, like, two families.
You can't combine
Yeah.
two families.
You can't
Oh, I see,
combine
the two families would
families.
be, I was looking at the two individuals.
Yeah, two families.
Okay.
So that was a significant change. Subdivision 4. Is that your question?
So it's good that I misinterpreted it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Misread it, that's good. The Peter principle.
good
All right,
job.
That's, say I misread it and it came out. All right, I didn't have, and you had a question. Was that your question?
My question was,
Yeah.
Evan has not gotten back to you yet,
On
after looking through this to make sure everything, he agrees with everything.
Oh, good.
That I put everything
Yeah.
in. So my question was, do we still approve it to him or not? He hasn't gotten back.
Well, plus we need to
Well,
take this out,
the
don't we?
email that I got was
Oh, she responded to it, okay.
a long time ago that they have voted and approved. Their group ratified it, so.
With or without that Division 4 in there?
I'm
Subdivision
pretty sure
4?
subdivision 4 was not in there.
Okay.
Should we make a note as a board that we are approving it?
With the removal of.
With the removal of
Based on
Subdivision 4.
subdivision 4?
Under Article 7, Section 2, Subdivision 4. Did you hear what Corinne said?
No.
Article
7,
At Article 7,
Hang on.
Section 2, right?
yep.
Article
Subdivision 4.
7, subdivision 4, correct?
Section
Remove.
2. Yep.
Subdivision 4 removed.
Yep.
In its entirety, not just reworded.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that shouldn't have been in this document, so
But it is.
just put it in there as a correction.
Yeah,
We're not
with that corrected.
removing it, we're correcting it.
Yeah,
To
okay, yeah.
reflect what was
With the
negotiated.
correction.
Yeah.
Because it was removed during the process,
Yes, we're not removing it here.
during negotiation
Then we'll
process.
just have to verify, was that the copy that he was sent and they
This is what
approved?
you sent him. Recently, case. So the tentative agreement is what we're going off of. And in the tentative agreement, the new language is of 2 spouses and stuff. This contract is you take the tentative agreement and you cut and paste and delete or delete.
Can we conditionally approve it based on whether or not the copy they received does not have the
I would,
subdivision for it?
we can reword it to say that we are approving the tentative agreement as established. Because this is just a copy of the contract.
Okay.
We've already negotiated a tentative agreement that lists all the changes on there.
Yeah, we've done that in the past with other negotiations where we've approved it conditionally based on a memorandum of understanding, for instance, to be signed by both sides. You know, so if there was an issue, I mean, I think, like you say, you can approve it with.
Yeah, because then, like, for instance, say they didn't, say they have that copy and that's the one they approved, and then for whatever reason it caused discontent, well, then our approval would get negated because then we'd have to go through again.
But when they,
Should
but
cover
during
it.
they approve, they don't approve the contract, like
Yeah.
the staff members, they approve the agreement.
The changes.
Yeah.
The
not that-
changes
Yeah.
that we negotiated.
Did I see?
Right, no, they never do, and they don't look at it either when they approve their agreement.
All right.
Yeah, because of the teacher's contract, we went through that, remember, it was a spring-long project, to reword the entire document. That was the only time that changed in a decade or
Yep.
2 decades even.
Yep. Right. Do you have time sheets?
Any more discussion on the MSEA contract, Crystal? Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm thinking we're at 7 o'clock,
Don't
Woody.
be running
Can you
now.
see the clock directly from where you are?
It's,
1 minute till 7.
I knew we'd get honesty out of the back row. All right, you got a 1 minute stretch period.
You said that you budgeted for a figure from Concom funds? You know, that's just about, I did not catch the figure that you budgeted for receiving Concom funds. I believe it was 160.
225.
225? Okay, it's just a.
It was 2, I thought you
The
said
180 was,
125.
the 180 was my, off the top of my head, make up a number.
I thought you said
I
125.
think it was, at
No,
one
you said
time it was 180.
225.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I know, it's divided up between the school and the county and all. But,
Yep.
Great.
And it's not a gift from the county, they're required by law to give it to us.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, they in their heads did as they're giving us that money when they talk about it at their meetings, and it's like, no, you by law have to give it
Yeah,
to
it's a-
us.
Right,
They're
there's no
passed through.
development day, there's no.
It isn't, oh, we donate to the school, no.
Right, no, it's a state
Yeah.
disbursement. Yeah, it comes from the state, there's no.
What do you call that meeting we had? Election canvassing?
So I will get a copy of the tentative agreement document.
Sharon, you got one more meeting left.
One more meeting, and no committee meetings between now and then either.
You can make some.
Reschedule.
Make some up.
Did you stop giggling? Wow, I mean, all I did was say one more meeting and she went into hysterics on the other end. How do you get your fifth wheel into the Caribbean? They just put it on the,
Just on the cruise, just stick it out there.
my sister was in Europe 3 months ago, and they actually drove a train. Anybody's been there where they drive parts of a train onto a boat, and then they ferry it for 4 or 5 hours? remember where she was. An entire train, right? Yeah. Then you get off the train, you wander around the road, then they hook it up to the tracks on the far side. On a train, to the train.
Oh, I didn't really, I didn't really go out of that.
You'd think it'd be easier just to have two trains, but,
Yeah, you think so, you're right.
because I mean, getting a hook in a train and taking it across on the boat, I mean, you're using up a lot of weight and everything else, and that's not a simple engineering feat there.
Tourism TV.
Yeah?
Nobody's gone across Lake Michigan on that.
I have, not on the train, but on the ferry I have. I'm trying to think where it left from or where it came back. You should do that sometime.
I've seen the Upers.
Gorgeous.
Upers.
Both the Lake Superior side and both of them are really pretty.
Are we ready? Everybody got their stuff done? Okay, let's do the pledge of allegiance. I guess we'll, Jeff will be back. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, a little bit behind on that one too. We've got a pattern going there, 7:04 p.m. Aye. Okay, you're giving me this for the purpose of knowing that we're ratifying a contract that, or signing onto a contract that's okay.
Yep.
So we don't necessarily have to offer the corrections up when the time comes?
We can note it, but we can just note the correction. It's not, in language, that was already done.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
By Ellis. Johnson. Aye. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Unanimously. I need a, excuse me, truth and taxation, I'm gonna struggle with, we're gonna get that done right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I pretty much turn that right over to you? Okay.
No, I just have a quick 8-slide show here. So basically, per Minnesota statute, you're responsible to present the current school year budget, and we need to present the proposed tax levy, and then we need to allow the public to comment. So this is what our budget summary looks like by fund for FY 2019. General fund, as you see, it is balanced, food service is balanced, community service. We're gonna look at that a little bit closer there. And then our debt service, that one, we can't really control there, so. And we don't have to transfer anything from the general fund to debt service, so that one we kind of take out of the difference. So we're gonna be looking at the community service fund a little bit more. And this is just a brief timeline of how the levy process works. Basically, in the June-July timeframe, the district is responsible to start reporting data to MDE. Then in August is when we set this date and location for the TNT hearing. September, we certify our proposed levy. November, we are having that hearing, and the county mails out their property tax statement. And then in December is when we are actually going to certify the final tax levy. These are the different levy components. We have general community service. That service, you see where it compares from 2017 pay 2018 to 2018 pay 2019. There is an increase of $85,495. And this is how it will affect your household. If you are a single family homestead at $100,000, your taxes are going to increase $1 to the school district. If you're a single family homestead of $150,000, they are actually going to stay the same to what you pay for the school district. And this is our recommended levy certification amount for 18 pay 19, which will actually be for budget 1. And now I open that up to public comment or the school members.
Any questions, Woody?
Can I get a copy of those spreadsheets so I can truthfully report this?
You sure can.
I think you did. I'm writing this back, thinking,
No, yeah.
Great, thank you.
It's in the board packet, so it's in
It's
the,
in the board,
Yeah.
Okay, in the board packet.
If you want them as paper, Woody, I'll give you mine.
That's okay, I've got the board packet.
Okay.
It's out of curiosity, but if you would put back the $100,000 house, the $150,000 house, and does that scale continue? So it's roughly what, $250 more. So would a $200,000 house then be another $250? So about $1,000? Just out
Not
of curiosity.
exactly. It depends on the percentage. So, I mean, essentially it's going to follow that a little bit, but it just, let me tell you exactly what the rates are.
Yeah, because if it is a flat percent,
I mean, it's not going to be, it's not going to be just because your house is 200,000, you're going to pay,
1,000.
right?
Well, and that's why I was wondering if it was a linear scale or not, because a 50,000 jump was actually,
No,
it's a straight percentage, right?
right. So like, well, then there's two different rates too. There's the market value rate and the tax capacity rate.
That's
And those are actually two numbers combined.
right,
So
that's
you
the
actually-
homestead credit.
Yeah, so it's not fair to say that just because it's 50,000 more, you're gonna pay 250 more.
Okay. I'm just curious.
But then too, as you see, we have an increase in our levy, but the taxes really aren't changing. That's due to the fact the market value overall went down in our county too.
And some
So
people
then more
increased.
state, yeah. So we're getting actually more state aid and less aid on the taxpayers.
Yeah. Less than theirs outside your house.
Yeah.
No kidding.
But as long as you're on that subject, so let's just say somebody has a $200,000 house for a round number, is he, she gonna pay less or more?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the question. Are they gonna be paying more than $1,000 or less than $1,000 in general? Or is that just still too hard to generalize? I mean, does it diminish as your property values go up, or does it increase as your property values go up?
Well, as your property value goes up, you're gonna pay more in taxes.
No, I understand you're gonna pay more, but on a percentage
as
basis.
far as the school tax, you
I
mean,
mean, the basics of that statement there show that if you have a $100,000 home, you're gonna pay $1 more in taxes next year, but there is no increase for the $150,000 guy, because it's still the same rate.
so are you saying if you have a $200,000 house, will it go down?
Yeah,
Mine did,
it went up, then you gotta be around that mark, right?
just under that, yeah.
Yeah.
And my school taxes did go down.
I guess I should say, yeah, my school taxes went down too. Not ever, my taxes went down, they don't stay the same.
That's because your value went up.
I can look that up,
It was
see what the.
just out of curiosity, I just don't, I mean, it just seemed.
Look on your tax statement, see if it went up or down.
Well,
I'm just
Yeah.
curious how it goes as you
Yeah.
reach a level of homeowner affluence or
I
whatever.
know mine was close enough that it stayed the same, and my valuation stayed about the same. I was just wondering on the scale.
Yeah.
Well, it's a straight percentage, it would be a linear scale, so.
And I don't think it's a straight percentage, I think there's some formula in the
Other
background there.
stuff in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was wondering.
And even like with the tax credit and all that kind of, I mean, there's some weird things going on in the background.
Okay.
I don't think it
Okay.
is just straightforward, right?
No.
I was gonna say, we got the explanation from the ex-school business manager, and she says, with gesticulation, there were weird things going on. That's the best we can do.
I think it also has to do with sales ratio.
Yep.
And comparables, you know, if the comparables in that upper echelon are inflated locally, then they have to adjust it.
Okay.
So my guess is that some of our properties in the 100,000 range has looks like a sales ratio based on actual sales and stuff.
Yep, and then there's something to do with if it increases more than X amount of value, then you don't get as much increase in this because there's a lesser percentage that's billed out to you each year.
Okay.
So that you don't have like a huge increase in 1 year jump. I mean, so there's
Okay.
there's all kinds of funny things in the background going on.
Continue questions if you want them. Brian, how did your taxes do? Good. All right.
Stacy takes care of it.
What's that?
I'm a gamble.
You went up a buck. You're the one who should be standing in the back row screaming. You are. All right. No levity. Are we moving through the truth and taxation? Anybody else have a comment? Thank you, Crystal. Okay. I need a motion and a second for the approval of the consent agenda, which involves the approval of the minutes, approval of invoices and statements, personnel. We're hiring as coaches, Gary Moeller, Cody Hasbargen, Chad Hazelton, Katie Piper, Charles Wells, Shaquille Solomon, and Dale Breeny, and then as educators in other situations, Lawrence Norwegian, Kyla Strife, and Nyla O'Connell. I need a motion and a second to approve that consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Feldman, second by Ellis, is that what I heard?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Discussion?
We got coaches, woohoo.
Yeah, we got kids playing sports. Good.
And if I may add, the pair positions are new positions. And we have another student coming back, so we might be advertising for a part-time, if not a full-time.
Okay. I guess no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, unanimously. On to board presenters. Seeing none, I'll move on to written communications, discussing the ballot for the FSA elections. And I think what we're looking at, need a motion and a second to allow, and I will take that responsibility, Tim Lyon to cast a vote for, cast a ballot for the county FSA committee representative.
I will make that motion for you to do that and cast that ballot.
And I
Motion
will
by Johnson.
second for you to do that.
Thank you very much. Discussion?
Good luck with that.
Okay, well, thank you
Should
very
we
much.
do that before you leave tonight?
Okay. You don't have to suggest in any fashion who I'm voting for. Okay, just that I cast that vote, and you trust my judgment. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimously. Voting to pass a vote. There's some more redundancy there. All right. And then B, I need a motion and a second to cast a ballot for the Region 1 Joint Powers Board election.
No board action there.
Oh, it's not an action
No,
item?
that's just communication in your board packet.
No.
there are for each of you, if you want to run to be a representative for the district on the Joint Powers Board, you can fill this out and I will submit it on your behalf.
I'd like to nominate Sharon Belvin.
Okay.
I
I'll
saw
decline that nomination.
I saw the meetings were like in Moorhead quarterly or something like that.
Yep.
So with that kind of a financial imposition on the district, is there a benefit for somebody to be on the Region 1? I mean, it's gonna cost us some money.
It'll cost some money for travel and stuff. I guess if there was things happening at the region that we, as a district, felt we wanted to impact or change, it might be worth having someone on there. At this time, I'm not
aware of any
aware
issues
of
like that.
anything with Region 1. I've been very happy with the service that they provide. And
The only time we've really taken an active role was when they were researching and deciding which program they were going to, when the state was making the decisions that we were required to have one of 4, and then in the student support programs as they came on. So we were active with their board for about 2 years while they made those decisions and implemented those programs. But outside of that, it's been just status quo.
I went from Sassy to,
Yeah.
there was one and then Synergy.
Just out of curiosity again, so who votes for the board members? Like, how does their election process work? Be like, okay, everybody from Baudette vote for Sharon, and or something, or how does that work? How do we get Sharon elected?
It
You're
says
digging on this one.
that the board members.
Had
so
Sharon chose to run.
Ballots would come to the school. and then we
Each
would get-
board member would have a ballot, so I don't know if
So pretty soon
5,
we'll get a ballot.
6
to
votes
vote
from
for
here was
someone.
gonna carry ya.
The region.
You'd have to do some campaigning with other school board members.
Yeah, that's, I mean, you'd have to other school districts. Okay, I was just curious.
Or you'd be the only district to submit a
Yeah.
candidate. Probably.
Yeah,
We should
probably.
do that at the next board meeting.
For some of us, that's how we got elected in the first place.
For most of us.
Okay, well, that discussion being done, let's move on to old business. I need a motion and a second to approve the third reading of policy 509, dealing with the enrollment of non-resident students.
I'll make the motion.
I'll
Motion by Johnson,
I'll second.
second by Trash. Discussion. Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, I need a motion and a second to approve the resolution establishing combined polling places for multiple precincts and designating hours during which the polling places will remain open for voting for school district elections not held on the day of the state election.
Make the motion.
Motion by Johnson.
I'll second.
Feldman. Discussion.
That probably doesn't come up very often, does it?
No, we did once,
This
Couple
is the
years
second
ago.
time we've done it.
Or for our,
or 4 years ago, something like that.
but it could more often now because we can no longer appoint for temporary placement of board members like we
Oh.
used to be able to.
Really?
So it
Okay.
could happen that you would
Yeah.
have to run a special election for a board member's
Huh.
position.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when they were all occurring, was when there was an appointment and then a reason to run an election 4 months later, or whatever it was. Okay, I'm hearing no other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Once again, a unanimous. The lease agreement with Lake of the Woods County for the upcoming year. I need a motion and a second to approve that lease agreement with the county.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Ellis,
Second.
second by Johnson. Discussion? Okay, Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Once again, unanimously. I need a motion and a second to approve the MSEA contract for the upcoming singular 2018-2019 year.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Johnson. Who's second?
I will.
Okay. Discussion. We have it reprinted in front of us. We're making a note here that we're voting to make sure that the removal of Article 7 subdivision 4 has been achieved, but we think it has by the printout that's already there, but we're all aware of that, just making a note that we discussed it, and that's not part of this approval. Anybody want to discuss anything else on that? Okay, hearing no discussion. All those in favor of approving the MSEA contract for the upcoming 2018-2019 year signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. And motion and a second to approve funding and the purchase of outdoor lighting.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, by Ellis.
I'll second.
Feldman. Discussion? We've had some. No else? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Unanimously. Any other business that we're ignoring? Okay, adjourn at 7:25.